GrokTALK.
We are struggling. Rising healthcare costs are part of the problem. Senator Jeanne Shaheen helped create this mess we're in. As a state senator, her bill chased 21 insurers out of our state. It reduced our choices, raised prices for New Hampshire families, and when Jeanne Shaheen supported Obamacare, it limited access to 10 of our 26 hospitals, reducing our choices again. Tell Jeanne Shaheen she's made healthcare worse.
Hi, this is Rich Gerard, host of Gerard at Large in the Morning, the Manchester area's only locally owned, locally operated, focused, and interested, riveting radio show, heard live every Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 on 90.7 FM WLMW, New Hampshire Family Radio, and available 24/7 live or archived at GerardAtLarge.com. Be sure to tune in.
3, 2, 1.
We'd like to welcome you to another edition of GrokTALK, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, GraniteGrok.com. We are your feared, extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio microphone stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you could only get from GraniteGrok.com.
GrokTALK.
All right, welcome back to segment 4 of GrokTALK. I'm Steve McDonald here with Mike Rogers. Thanks again to Josh Moore, who is running for the New Hampshire House from the town of Merrimack. And, of course, Patrick Page was here, Webster and Warner running for the New Hampshire House. We love having you guys in. A couple more weeks left before the general election. We want to make sure if you are interested and you're running for office, we'd like you to give us a call. You can email me instead, because I'm not going to give you my phone number, at nh.steve@yahoo.com or steve@granitegrok.com, and we will get you on the program. And speaking of getting candidates on the program, we have another one here with us. We're happy to have with us Eileen Landies. Thank you so much for coming in.
Great to be here, guys. Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Sure, absolutely. I'm going to say I heard you this morning on New Hampshire Perspective with Jeff Chittister, and you sounded good. You talked a lot about jobs and the economy, so let's talk about jobs and the economy because that's such a huge issue. That is the issue.
That is the issue. That is the issue. So, New Hampshire's economy has been pretty flat. It's 0.9%. The rest of the nation's double that. And so we're not growing. We're not going. We're going nowhere. And so what we want to do is try to create an environment that's going to foster businesses. As I said earlier this morning, and I've been telling people, we have an unwelcome mat we've put out in front of our door and not open for business, to business signs. And we really want to improve on that. And there's a variety of ways. It's not one thing. It's just not one fix. There's a variety of things that we need to approach as a legislature to make our state more attractive to businesses.
And what those things be?
Okay, simple as taxes. We have some of the highest corporate tax rates in the nation here, and then we have the BET tax, which there's no other state in our region that has that. So that just in our area, that kind of, if somebody likes the New England area, they can't even look at New Hampshire because we're just not an option for tax-wise. So that's the first thing they look at. If you're looking for high-tech jobs, those kind of jobs that have, good-paying jobs, benefits, all those nice things that you like to have with the job, our electricity costs are skyrocketing. They're going up, I think, another 40%, if my
40 to 50,
40 to 50%. And so they're already the highest in the nation. So where does that put us now? And so it's really a discouraging, another discouraging factor to businesses looking to come here. High unemployment tax rate. We've got high medical costs. We've got a ton of regulations. And so addressing some of those issues and reducing those costs is what will make New Hampshire attractive to businesses. So
that's great. And, and how are we going to set about doing those things? I mean, government needs revenue. So the first thing we need to do is cut government to the point where it's providing essential services, but not just not feel-good stuff. And then we have to figure out how to reduce the tax rates and eliminate the unwanted ones. I mean, the business enterprise tax isn't really based on how profitable you are. It's more like a payroll tax on businesses, correct?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. So it's dinging owners that actually wanted to make a living off of their business. Oh, that's a novel idea.
We had a business owner in earlier who was telling us all about that, Patrick Page, who runs the flag store downstairs. What else? Jobs and economy. Obviously, if you don't have jobs and you don't have an economy and you don't have revenue, you won't have government. But Democrats don't think that way. They always think the opposite way. And
they think first you have to have government. Now, how much money do we need to steal?
Well, yeah, that's a great way of putting it. So, what I was going door to door. I've been trying to do as much voter contact as I can. So, I've worn out at least 2 pairs of shoes thus far, and in heels. That it's what I ran into a gal yesterday. Or was it the day before? They're blurring, and we had a common ground on, she's got her child in a charter school, and we talked about that. I thought, okay, great. There's somebody that we're on the same page. And then she started talking about, well, I'd be okay with if my taxes kept going up, that because I could afford the things that I want to be sure that I have, and I just stood there, and so I had to ask her. So, at what percentage point do you think is enough? 50% of your income, 60% of your income, and she really couldn't answer that question for me. And it's
does she realize that it's approaching 60% already when you add all the taxes together?
Yes, and the things that we don't call taxes, those things called fees that are just taxes really kind of in hiding or asking permission. You don't need to register your refrigerator, but you do need to register your car to drive on the road that you've paid for. Remember,
don't joke. They will be having us register our refrigerators very soon. The Internet of Things, your appliances controlled by your smart meter.
Yes.
This is where they want to take us. The GPS in your car to report where you drove because they're not getting enough money out of the gas tax, and so on and so forth.
So one of the things that I think I at least gave her a data point or something for her to ponder. And so at some point in time, when tax dollars are taken from you, they're not necessarily given voluntarily. You can always donate more money to the government if you choose to. But at some point in time, desiring more taxes, I was hearing from her, for her things that are convenience for hers or luxuries for a lot of people, when you're taking from somebody's necessity by force is again that they have no choice in the matter, then you really need to stop and think about what you're doing. And that's exactly what taxation does, is as we increase what we're doing that might add on special services for a subset of individuals that is more of a luxury or a nicety to have. There's a difference between want and need, but you're taking away from people's basic needs for something that you want. It would be nice to have, and that's just not an okay thing because they can't say no.
And wants should be something that you pay for yourself.
That's correct.
Or that your town pays for because the majority of the town says, we have this want for a nice park in the middle of town and we're willing to pay for it. But we're not asking the town next door to pay for it.
Precisely.
We have some pseudo-Republicans in my town that, because they're rich, think that everybody can pay a little more for a prettier town.
Well, one of the things that I'm really present in my district, there's 31% of the individuals in my district are over 61. And so you're looking at people who are on some type of perhaps fixed income. They're retirement. Retirement. If you've saved for and you don't have a pension, it does run out. If you aren't budgeting well, so increasing the taxes on those individuals can leads them to having to make choices that are very, very tough on what they can and cannot spend. So it really, again, it's you're really seriously impacting your bottom line. And if you're having a wonderful income and you're very prosperous, I'm delighted for you. But understand that as you increase those taxes for those things, again, the wants instead of the needs, that you're impacting the needs of another individual.
So you're District 20, and that's like West Manchester and Goffstown?
Yep. So it's Manchester's wards 3, 4, 10, 11, and the town of Goffstown.
Okay. And how does this district typically lean?
Well, it's been a Democratic district for a long time, but we've been looking at the PVI, and that's called the Partisan Voting Index, and the PVI for District 20 is actually even. So it's a winnable race. Back in 2010, a non-presidential year, because I'm assuming many of your listeners are kind of well versed and some of the sharper tools in the shed.
Yes.
But by that, and in a non-presidential year, you have different type of voter turnout than you do in a presidential year. So in a non-presidential year, back in 2010, Joe Kelly Lavasser, if he would have gotten 166 more votes, would have taken over the seat, the Senate district. In Senate District 20.
Now, whose seat is this?
It is Lou D'Alessandro's seat.
Lou.
Yes.
Millennium Gaming Lou.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Yes.
Yeah, I remember that because we were watching. We were at the Ginta thing on election night.
Yes.
And we were doing a version of GrokTALK then, and just broadcasting and live streaming that whole event and talking about the results. And we were there and we were watching and we were just stunned at how many seats Republicans were winning. And that race was so close. And we were going, come on, win.
If you can tip Lou D'Alessandro out, there'll be a lot of cheering going on around the state. I can tell you that, and not because he's a bad man, but because he's such a committed socialist Democrat that is basically eating out our substance, as the founders would have put it.
Well, yes, and it's sometimes it's reading between the lines and just saying, here's a piece of literature. Can I really read between the lines? And it's saying that Senate Bill 366 would have reduced property taxes. That 140, I think it was 144 pages of that piece of legislation. There was no place where it indicated that the revenue from this is going to offset taxes by 5%, 7%, 4%. It had the word may, and you and I both know, and the listeners know, that what the word may means.
Well, you have to put it in the context of the person looking for it. Democrats are always looking for more revenue, so why would they come up with a way to get more revenue so they could give it back?
No, exactly, and so that's not the plan.
May means that probably won't.
Yes.
Should means still probably won't. Shall means they must, and they'll try and weasel out of it.
Yes, that's correct. And so when you're reading a piece of legislation, unless you have that word shall in there, there's absolutely no guarantee. So you can say all you want, but until you look at that piece of legislation and go, well, it doesn't say that anywhere. I don't know where you're seeing that, but there is no guarantee. There's no definitive thing that's exactly what the dollars are going to go for.
I heard this morning when you were talking to Jeff on New Hampshire Perspective that Elm Street's a large part of your district.
Yes, it is.
So you have, I think, is it 800 Elm Street? I don't know. There's a voter fraud mecca on Elm Street, and it's a big building with lots of apartments or whatever in it. And we've identified literally hundreds of people who have come here as staffers or people, Democrats from other campaigns, and they all live there and vote there. You have a unique opportunity this year because the keeper of the checklist flushed 4,000 names out of the voter rolls this year. A lot of them were those people. And
that's wonderful.
To clean up the vote fraud problem, which is very difficult to do. And I don't know, where do you stand on that issue? I mean, it's
well, there's that elections need to be in the Constitution. Elections should be free and open, but we're also looking at it from a perspective of what's realistic. And so, even the Secretary of State has said that he's concerned with there being voter fraud in the state of New Hampshire. We've had, I can't recall the gentleman's name who wrote the book and did the movie and released that. I have his book. I know him.
I forget. I don't know. We have Ed Nail, so
yes.
that's our.
Yeah, we have Ed.
We have Ed.
We have Ed, and so there is a very real concern.
You're not talking about John Fund, are you?
No. So one of the things that for myself, I was helping candidates. I've been working on other people's elections over the years and helping in Goffstown in the last election cycle. And we watched a mini white minivan pull up, Vermont plates, and full of college students come out, and then every 45 minutes that van was coming around again and dumping more students out into the voting polls. So there were a lot of someday registrates, and that was one of the. They do it in
Keene a lot. Yeah, we have pictures of those vans that they used in Keene. So yeah,
and so that was impressive in itself, just the operation.
I would just like to see the clerks at these polling places to say, fine, so you say you want to vote here, or you say you have the intent, so show me something. Show me your driver's license. If you don't, I'll report you to the police as driving without a license. And show me something that says you've paid some rent, you've paid a bill, you've committed to a property. I don't want to hear that you just happen to be visiting for the day.
Well, again, that's what we're looking to as being an issue. And how do you solve that in a way? How do you solve that in a way that still upholds the New Hampshire Constitution? So right. That's the big question out there.
And we talk about it a lot. We're going to talk about it in a few more minutes right after we take a break. We'll be right back.
Great.
We are struggling. Rising healthcare costs are part of the problem. Senator Jean Shaheen helped create this mess we're in. As a state senator, her bill chased 21 insurers out of our state. It reduced our choices, raised prices for New Hampshire families, and when Jean Shaheen supported Obamacare, it limited access to 10 of our 26 hospitals, reducing our choices again. Tell Jean Shaheen she's made healthcare worse.
On healthcare, Jean Shaheen didn't tell the truth.
You can keep your insurance if you like it. It will increase choices for families. It will promote competition.
The facts. More than 20,000 New Hampshire patients have had their coverage canceled, and Obamacare offers only one insurer on New Hampshire's individual market. So next November, if you like your senator, you can keep her. If you don't, you know what to do. Ending Spending Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
GrokTALK.